Good morning, I'm Mike Neundorfer with Advanced RV, and this is Fred Algren. And we're here to talk a little bit about some things that Fred is doing that help us to understand and keep track of changes that we make technically, both in programs and in hardware for clients that go out. This is part of our R&D program. Let me start by asking Fred, you have access to an awful lot of information in the van. What are some of the things that you're data logging now, selectively for some people, not as part of our normal package, but if, for instance, we had clients that got back from a 14,000-mile trip to Alaska this week, and they have been taking the chip that gathers all this data, downloading it periodically and sending it back to Fred. The good news is the battery system and everything, the temperatures and everything were all perfect. They had a perfect trip, no quality problems. But Fred, talk a little bit about what we're learning.
Well, what we've been doing is monitoring primarily exclusively battery performance, because the various batteries have temperature limits, both hot and cold, and also current limits and whatnot. So people that we know are going to be going on an arduous trip. The one you mentioned, Mike, was a long trip to Alaska. We got some other people that have wanted to go to the Southwest and then up into the mountains. So those people where their vans are going to be in an unusual situation or something other than just going to state parks, we've been putting a little electronic device in there that monitors basically everything that's available from the battery and logging it every 30 seconds. And then when we're working with those people, they can actually pull this little, it's a micro SD chip that you can just barely see, but I'm sure most people are familiar with. And that chip will hold about 16,000 days worth of battery information. So there's little risk that we're going to run out of space on it. But we monitor the current, the voltage, all the temperatures. In some cases, there's multiple places the current is measured in some battery systems. So we can record all of that, and then we can see a profile of how they're using their batteries, what their maximum currents are, what their state of charge is, how the state of charge comes down overnight when they're sitting stationary, and how quickly it recovers when they're running on their alternators. So it really helps us confirm that the batteries are working the way we're intending them to work. And we've had some clients that have come back and said, well, I had a problem at a particular time. They sent me the data, and I found out that they were running their air conditioner, their microwave, and a coffee maker all at the same time. So they did exceed the capability of their power systems, and they had a shutdown. But it was pretty obvious as to what had happened, and they said, well, I guess we won't do that anymore. So it is possible to exceed the capabilities, but then we knew it. I knew exactly what minute the thing had kicked off. They were making breakfast. But more usually, we just find out what's happening, and we haven't really, while we've been doing this, seen any real issues. We're just trying to confirm that when we design these systems, that they work the way we think they should work.
And we're learning a little bit more about how the batteries cycle as well, how deep they cycle, how high they recharge, how quickly they recharge during driving. So this gives us a little bit of information to be able to project battery life, right, Fred?
Yeah, we get a better chance to know exactly how people are using the batteries in their vans.
What other things do you think we can monitor in the future?
Well, these particular devices that we're using for monitors make it particularly easy to measure temperature. So we're planning on extending just the battery monitoring so that we could put temperature sensors in other places in the van. For example, in the inverter compartment, because that has to be cooled, on the diesel S-bar loop, which is used to heat the van and also to produce hot water. And there's some other places that are kind of critical. For example, behind the refrigerator is a compartment that if it starts getting hot, it reduces the efficiency of the refrigerator. So we're going to set up and put monitoring of that for clients that are going to have an unusual use profile, so they'll push the limits. We'll get data from them to help us evolve the designs of our chassis.
Thanks, Fred. Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm good.
All right. Appreciate the feedback, and thanks for the great work again.
All right, you're welcome.